Alright folks, gather around, we've got a geopolitical plot twist juicier than a reality TV finale. Remember when the United States was the world's best friend forever, trading high fives and tariffs like nobody's business? Well, things have changed. The United States is playing hardball with its trade wars and China's looking for a new dance partner. Enter the European Union, stage left, looking dapper as ever. Now, the EU and China haven't always seen eye to eye. Human rights, trade spats, you name it. But suddenly they're thicker than thieves at a discount diamond convention. Why the sudden change of heart? Let's just say when the world's biggest economy starts throwing its weight around, you tend to find comfort in unlikely alliances. This ain't just a casual fling, folks. We're talking high-level meetings, love letters disguised as trade deals, and even whispers of a joint bank account. Metaphorically speaking, of course. But like any good rom-com, there's drama. Canada's decided it's had enough of this love triangle and is taking a break to focus on itself. So buckle up, buttercups, because things are about to get interesting. This trade war tango has only just begun, and we're here for all the awkward steps and dramatic dips. Let's break down this unlikely love story, shall we? It's a tale of two global giants, each with their own quirks and ambitions, finding common ground in a world that's constantly shifting. On one side, we've got the European Union, all about rules, regulations, and looking sophisticated with that single currency swagger. The EU prides itself on its unity and its ability to navigate complex political landscapes with finesse. On the other side, there's China, the economic powerhouse with a penchant for, let's say, alternative approaches to human rights and trade practices. China's rapid growth and assertive policies have made it a formidable player on the global stage. So, how did these two end up holding hands and skipping through the fields of international trade? It's a story of necessity, strategy, and a bit of serendipity. Well, it all started with a little thing called the Trump administration. The US took a more isolationist stance, shaking up global trade dynamics and leaving a vacuum that needed to be filled. See, when the United States started slapping tariffs on everything but the kitchen sink, China needed a new outlet for all its goodies. The trade war pushed China to look for new partners and markets to sustain its economic momentum, and the EU, with its massive consumer market and thirst for affordable goods, was right there waiting. The European market presented a lucrative opportunity for China to offload its products and maintain its growth trajectory. But it's not just about economics, folks. There's a deeper game afoot, one that involves geopolitics, influence, and a desire to reshape the global order. There's a deeper game afoot. The EU and China are both looking to expand their influence and assert their positions as global leaders. This partnership is as much about strategy as it is about trade. The EU is tired of being America's sidekick and wants to prove it can handle its own business. By partnering with China, the EU aims to demonstrate its independence and strategic autonomy. They're calling it strategic autonomy, which basically means, we're adults now, we can make our own decisions. This move is a statement of the EU's intent to carve out its own path on the global stage. And who better to partner with than the country that's giving the United States a run for its money? China's rise challenges the traditional power structures, making it a valuable ally for the EU. Don't get it twisted, this isn't a match made in heaven. There are significant differences in values, governance, and long-term goals that could create friction. These two have a history of butting heads, and there are still plenty of issues to iron out. From human rights concerns to trade imbalances, the road ahead is fraught with challenges. But for now, they're willing to put their differences aside and focus on what really matters, sticking it to Uncle Sam. This budding bromance is a testament to how global alliances can shift in unexpected ways. Remember that old saying, when America sneezes, the world catches a cold? Well, in this case, America decided to have a full-blown temper tantrum, and the global economy is left cleaning up the mess. Trump's trade war, fueled by tariffs and Twitter rants, has sent shockwaves through the international market. The EU, despite its newfound love for China, isn't immune to the fallout. Remember those EU companies that were initially excited about snatching up market share from their American competitors? Turns out tariffs cut both ways, and those cheap Chinese imports are suddenly not so cheap anymore. Even the European Central Bank, those masters of monetary policy, are starting to sweat. They're warning that this trade war could turn into a full-blown economic hurricane, leaving Europe battered and bruised. Ouch, but hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Some companies are actually benefiting from the chaos. Take the renewable energy sector, for example. With China investing heavily in green tech, European companies are finding new markets and partnerships. It's like that old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Or in this case, one man's trade war is another man's business opportunity. Section 4, Canada says, "See you later, time for a timeout." In the midst of this global trade drama, Canada's decided to pull a strategic power move. They're going radio silent. This isn't just a casual retreat, it's a calculated pause. No more awkward family dinners, no more forced smiles at international summits. Canada is stepping back from the global stage, at least for now. Canada's all about self-care these days, and that means focusing on its own backyard. They're prioritizing their own well-being over international drama. Now, Canada isn't exactly known for its cutthroat foreign policy. They're usually the peacemakers, the diplomats, the ones offering everyone maple syrup and apologies. Their reputation is built on kindness and diplomacy. But this time they're putting their foot down. They're drawing a line in the sand. They've realized that getting caught in the crossfire of a US-China trade war isn't exactly good for their health. So what's Canada's plan? Well, they're calling it domestic economic strengthening, which is a fancy way of saying, we're going to focus on making our own economy great again. Think investing in local businesses, supporting Canadian industries, and boosting homegrown talent. Think investing in local businesses, supporting Canadian industries, and maybe even building a wall to keep out those pesky American tariffs. Just kidding, maybe. Is Canada's strategy going to work? Only time will tell. But they're determined to give it their best shot. Is Canada's strategy going to work? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, they're not going to sit around and wait for the US and China to sort out their differences. They're taking control of their own destiny. They're not going to sit around and wait for the US and China to sort out their differences. They've got better things to do, like perfecting their poutine recipe, and figuring out how to turn their love of hockey into an economic superpower. Canada's taking a time out, but they're not out of the game. Section 5, Electric Dreams and Oil Realities, where the sparks fly. This is where the future of transportation and energy is being shaped, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Okay, let's talk about the real juicy stuff. The industries where China and the EU are either locking lips or throwing punches. It's a complex relationship, filled with both collaboration and competition. First up, we've got electric vehicles, the shiny new toys of the automotive world. These aren't just cars, they're symbols of innovation and a cleaner future. Now, the EU wants to be the cool kid on the block when it comes to EVs, but there's just one problem. China's already miles ahead. They've been investing heavily in this sector for years. They've got the technology, the manufacturing prowess, and the batteries. Oh, so many batteries. China's dominance in battery production is a game changer, so the EU is stuck between a rock and a hard place. They want to lead in the EV market, but they can't ignore China's head start and expertise. They want to promote their own EV industry, but they also need China's help to make it happen. It's a tricky situation, balancing ambition with reality. Talk about a love-hate relationship. They need each other, but they're also wary of each other's growing influence. Then there's the oil and gas sector, where things are a little more complicated. This is where old energy meets new ambitions. Europe's been trying to wean itself off fossil fuels like a teenager trying to quit sugar, but old habits die hard. The transition to renewable energy is slow and challenging. And guess who's got a whole lot of oil and gas to sell? You guessed it, China. They're ready to supply, but at what cost to Europe's green goals? So, the EU's caught in this awkward dance, trying to balance its green ambitions with its dependence on traditional energy sources. It's a tightrope walk with no easy answers. They're looking to China for cooperation on renewable energy projects. But they're also wary of becoming too reliant on a country that's not exactly known for its environmental track record. It's a partnership fraught with tension. It's a delicate balancing act, folks, and one wrong step could send the whole thing crashing down. The future of energy and transportation hangs in the balance, and the world is watching closely. Section 6. The future of global trade, a balancing act. So, what's the moral of this geopolitical soap opera? Well, it seems like the days of the US calling all the shots are over. The world's a-changin', and countries are forging new alliances based on their own interests, not just what America tells them to do. The EU's dance with China is a prime example of this new world order. They're playing a high-stakes game, trying to balance their desire for economic growth with their concerns about human rights and fair trade practices. As for Canada, they're showing the world that sometimes the best move is to just step back and focus on yourself. It's like they're saying, you guys figure out your drama, we'll be over here building a better future for ourselves. The future of global trade is looking more like a multipolar world with different power centers vying for influence. It's a complex and ever-changing landscape, and predicting the future is like trying to herd cats. Messy, unpredictable, and likely to end in scratches. But one thing's for sure, this trade war tango is far from over. So stay tuned, folks, because things are about to get even more interesting.